Movies and television are an art form. Granted, they are an art form by committee. They're a, you know, a cooperative one where a writer writes and then a director directs and a producer produces. That's fine. You understand that. That's a given. But the people who make the creative decisions are businessmen. They think because they lay out the buck that they have the intellect to know what art is. Clearly, this is not so. The last time that happened was the Pope. You know, when will the Sistine Chapel ceiling be done? When it's done, dummy. You know, that's the last time. What we've got now are CPAs, for God's sakes, in charge of all the studio. I had a producer named Stan Spetner, who I worked for at Universal on The Sixth Sense, which was on ABC for a very brief time, who once said to me when I presented him with some ideas that I wanted to turn into scripts, and they were pretty good ideas. He said, no, we don't want those kind of, we don't want those kind of. He said, what you've got to realize is that we're doing the Saturday morning funnies for these people. They're all monkeys out there. Now, he really believed that. And I believe a lot of other people in the industry believe that, too. They believe that everybody watching television is an absolute cadoti right off the hayrack, for crying out loud, that they haven't got the brains God gave them. And so they program lower and lower and lower, and they give them the Little House on the Prairie, and they give them more Rookies, and they give them more SWAT, and people's brains are turning to prune whip yogurt, for crying out loud. People need to have something that their brains can masticate, and they don't get it. And that's why I do it. It's infuriating to me to see this kind of medium that's available for such uplift, for such good things, just even simple good drama, nothing even better, or good comedy, being frittered away, being used to sell toilet paper. You know, toilet paper is a nice thing, but if you don't have it, use a Sears catalog. You know, there's always something else. The important thing is the preservation of art. And people are so afraid of the word
two
art.
Interesting things to mention in the same sentence, bathroom tissue and the preservation of art.
Well, I mean, Martin Luther believed a good bowel movement was the most uplifting thing a human being could indulge in. Yeah.
Well.
He's a very uptight gentleman, which explains Calvinism, I believe in Lutheranism.
There are two great sins, false pride and false humility.
I don't wear it well. I just don't wear it well. I love what I do, and I think I do it awfully good, awfully well. Boy, was that bad. And when I see someone like a Jacqueline Suzanne, whose first book was bought onto the bestseller list, I mean, I was working on the bloody screenplay of it before it was even published at 20th, and I know how that book became a bestseller. And if people knew, they would feel like absolute dupes. But those things happen, and a writer like Eric Siegel. Oh, God, spare me from Jonathan and Livingston Siegel. He's you know, I mean, his stuff is the lowest possible common denominator of human emotion. And people sit there and they read it and they weep piteously and they go to the movie and they watch Ali McGraw dying from a disease which kills but does not wither, you know, and pseudo-necrophilia as Ryan O'Neal flings himself onto the bed and she says, no, crawl up onto the bed with me, and people are groping for digitalis through the theater. I'm sitting there and laughing, and the woman's saying, you're a monster, you're a monster. People have been so inundated with it for so long. It's like top 40 rock. There's so much garbage that the good stuff becomes noise, background noise. If you're in a car with a person who has been brought up on nothing but rock all his or her life, and you're going past you go past on the dial and you hit classical music and you want to hear it, that's like static to them. They'll instantly turn it until they can get the Eagles. I mean, I dig the Eagles too. But I don't think that means that there should not be a world with Charles Ives in it. It seems to me that the more garbage you dump on people, the more people get used to garbage. It seems to me to succeed in the arts in America today, one has to have a schizoid personality. There's the artist who does the work with what Balzac called clean hands and composure, without compromises, okay? When it's done, then you say to the artist, thank you for having done a good job. Go catch some sleep, and you bring out the rapacious businessman, the person who is willing to sit on a television show like this, which is a hype. This program is a hype. I have nothing more to say. I mean, why should anybody sit and listen to me, for God's sake? You could have Buckminster Fuller up here. That's someone to listen to, but they won't listen to Buckminster Fuller. Why? Because he isn't Zsa Zsa Gabor with a beehive hairdo. That's why. Life is not a John Wayne movie. There are not guys in black hats and white hats. That is not the way it works. It does take time to explain a complex idea. That's the difference between art and Eric Siegel and Jacqueline Suzanne. Everything is boiled down to simplistics for them. And an awful lot of people have very complex lives. It is not an easy world in which we live, he said, pontificating. And so they want to go for easy solutions. They want to believe that you can do that. That you know, if you punch someone in the mouth, there is this eloquent vocabulary of a fist in the face. And that you can settle things that way. But that doesn't settle things. It doesn't. And not in art. And I think the reason that I am concerned that my books sell well and get around to people is that for better or worse, whatever it is I know, I want them to know. Let them accept or reject, but at least give me a shot, for God's sakes. Let me have my chance. When I go past Brentano's window, you know, all I see is Irving Wallace and Jacqueline Suzanne and a whole horde of people who are writing books that are not what they should be. And Nabokov is not there, usually, and Borges is not there, usually, and a writer like Kate Wilhelm, who's a brilliant writer. She's one of the best writers in the country today. You'll never see her books in the window of Brentano's because it's a little more difficult than the new Irving Wallace. And I think it's good for people to struggle with what they're reading. I think it's good for them to work a little harder at it. I think things come too easily. I think that simplifying ideas too much distorts them. And I think that's what television does.
What's the word I'm looking for? Every single blank has to be a confrontation.
Because that's what life is. It is a confrontation. That is what life is composed of, an endless series of confrontations with the society in which one lives, with one's fellow man and woman, and with oneself. That is what life is all about. That's why you can never get rid of violence on television, because life is, to a greater or lesser degree, violent. And the intensity of the confrontation, the revelations of the human condition that come out of those confrontations is what makes enlightening drama, makes art for us. We must learn from what we read. We can't keep getting our brains massaged. We have to have the confrontation so that when they come to us in real life, we have some well of information to go to. Did you want to do some commercials?
Yeah, I really want to do this break now, and then we will continue. Please stay tuned.
For those who don't know Cal Worthington, he's a car dealer in California. And very interesting. Did I ever tell you the story about, remember before Cal Worthington there was...
what's his name? Ralph
Williams.
Hi, folks. Ralph Williams here.
Ralph, amazing story about Ralph
I bought a car
Williams.
from Ralph Williams one time.
Do you want to know what happened?
I bought 2 cars from Ralph Williams.
Let me tell the story already, for God's sake.
They were great cars. I've since sold them. But...
He bought the joint from Leon Ames, who was an old actor, and it was Leon Ames Ford, and Leon Ames was the old-time actor who had the car lot.
Right.
And he married Leon Ames' daughter, and he became the manager of the place, and he was a dynamite manager. He sold like crazy. One day, as I understand it from an ex-LA cop, Leon Ames got kidnapped.
I covered that story for KTLA in Los Angeles.
By 2 or 3 huge thugs. And he calls up Ralph Williams at the lot, and Ralph says, "Oh, Leon, what's the matter? I'm selling a '32 Chevy wagon to a couple from Inyo. What do you want?" He said, "Forget the wagon. You know, I'm kidnapped. I'm kidnapped. I'm in a motel, and they want $150,000. Bring it in a satchel. Well, can I sell the car?" "Forget the car, Ralph. It's over here immediately." Right? So all right. Look at that. Now you got to know, Ralph Williams is, first of all, 8.5 feet tall, looks like a slab of paper. Charlton Heston looked like a teeny weeny. So he goes and he gets his $150,000 in cash, and he puts it in a satchel, and he goes out to this Fakakta motel way out in Japip, you know, and one of these dudes opens the door with a, Magnum in his hand and aims it at him, and Ralph Williams kind of looks around, smashes the door into the guy, breaks his brain, hits the other guy with the satchel, knocks him across the room, breaks every bone in his body, turns around and says, "You okay, Leon?" "Yeah, I'm okay. Come on, Leon." Takes him back to the lot and sells the car.
And sells the 32 on that right now.